Woo, Pig, Soooieeee, Razorback Therapy, Episode 5. Well, Toby, we need some therapy this week, dude.
We've been holding off, waiting for the right time to bring it back. And when you're winning, everybody's on a high, everybody's feeling good. You don't need therapy when you're winning.
That's true.
But, man, when you lose
yeah,
on the field goal at the end of the game, man, the state of Arkansas and any Arkansas fan needs some therapy. And we back, baby.
Yeah. I mean, the winning is therapy when you're winning, just seeing your Hogs win every week. There's been some holes. We've been able to overcome those and get wins. And then here's my most frustrating thing. I'll kind of kick it off with this, and then we can just sort of dive into this A&M game. And we didn't do our full season prediction. However, for me, like every fan does, you pull up your team's schedule, you go through, you mark your wins, you mark your losses, you mark your toss-ups, and kind of go from there. I had this game marked as a loss before the season started. I actually felt like we would lose to A&M, Bama. I thought we'd go 3-0, lose to A&M, Bama, and then had a legitimate chance to win the next 6 or 7 games, whatever it is, and have a legitimate shot at finishing 10-2, 9-3. I still feel that way, but I do have some concerns that we can talk about that I think will keep us from achieving that. But here's my frustrating thing with this A&M game. Going into it, I had it marked as a loss. But then when you watch that game and the way we lost, we beat ourselves. We beat ourselves. And, I've got some points here, Toby, but what would you say? What are kind of your just...
I think you just nailed it, man. We did beat ourselves. If you're A&M and you're Jimbo Fisher coming away from that game, you ain't coming. I don't think you're still coming away excited because you got beat.
Yeah.
Had Arkansas not made the mistakes that they made, it frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end, but that's what fans forget. If you would have talked to most fans at the beginning or prior to the first game of the season, nobody really had A&M as a W. I don't think many Hog fans run like you. But then we started winning, we get a little excited, and we forget all of that. And now we're devastated. Now we're pointing fingers at Bryles. The fan base is back to squabbling. Man, Arkansas just needs to calm down.
Well, and I think, too, what sort of changed everyone's expectations, in addition to us winning, was A&M losing to Appalachian State. And they lose to App State, and I feel like that did some sort of 180 with a lot of our fan base. And I'm not going to say this happened with the players or coaches or anything, but I think with a lot of fans, there became this we're gonna kill them. Because just looking at social media going into that game, one of the things that made me nervous last week was how overconfident it felt like our fan base was from a social media standpoint. Not so much from, just your everyday Hog fan necessarily, but at least on social media, it looked like everything I saw was, we're going to kill them. They don't have a quarterback and they don't have this and they can't stop the run and they can't throw the ball and just all these different things on paper that, it looked like it played into our favor, but I just had an uneasy feeling all week. But then the way we started the game, I thought, I'm the idiot here. I guess everybody was right. And then we had that one sort of fluky series where we got the gadget plays with Hornsby, and I know everyone just wants to crucify Bryles for that, and it didn't work. But here's the reality. Yes, we had to punt it away when it looked like we were going down to at least go up 17-0, if not 21-0. A&M comes down and scores on just a lob pass to the end zone that a true freshman ends up catching. You can't get more fluky than that. But the reality is our offense got right back in rhythm, drove it down, got inside the 5, and then for whatever reason, I know this was like the most talked about play of the game, but KJ decided to go Superman, which turned into another just, I keep saying fluky, but another fluky play, a fumble at the 1, picked up, taken back for a touchdown. And that momentum swing, we really couldn't recover from until we got into the fourth quarter and started our comeback. So with all that being said, Toby, you mentioned Briles. What are your thoughts on Briles? Because you're right. Like, there's definitely a polarized feeling about him. I'll share my thoughts after you, but like, what do you think as far as the bad, press he's getting, what the finger pointing that's happening? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree? Like, where are you on Kendall Briles?
I'd tell people to stop it, man. End of story. Kendall Briles is an offensive genius. Look at what he has to work with. When your star receiver goes to the NFL, I mean, I'm not saying Hazelwood and them guys aren't decent, but we have lost that X factor. And I think the reason that we're having to do some of the trick things and some of those plays are because we're in a situation where we have to. That we need to do it to mix it up because, one, you don't want to show all your cards to Alabama. So you're going to reach kind of deep in that playbook and pull out some things you might not typically run. But then you're in a situation where you have to kind of use it because you want to catch them off guard, man. I think people, like I said, man, my whole theme today is Arkansas fans need to calm down. Because the reality is if you come in this week, Alabama comes to town and you beat them, nobody remembers last week. All they remember is that you lost in a tight game at a field goal at the end of the game. Kicker hits the pole. End of story. They should have won that game. That's what people are going to say. I hope that's what they say if we beat Alabama. Because like you said earlier, I think every other game on our schedule is winnable past Alabama. Is it going to be easy? No. But we've got the talent. We've got the coaching. We have the ability to win the rest of those football games.
And a big reason why I believe that is because after Bama, when you look, we got, I want to say BYU, followed by a bye week. Wait, is it Mississippi State or BYU? I don't have it in front of me, but I know
you got Mississippi State next.
Yeah.
And then you got BYU.
Bye week.
Yeah.
Auburn and so on. And
Liberty, LSU. Ole Miss there at the end, next to last, kind of scares me maybe a little bit, depending on what they do over the course of the next couple games. But, man.
They hadn't played anybody yet, so we're going to get a real look at them. They got Kentucky this week, so we'll get a look at them. And if you look at us kind of here in recent history, we've fared well when we play Ole Miss later in the season. Like, I remember those Bielema years when Ole Miss was coming off wins against Bama. They were top 5. They were vying for the SEC West. And then, we handled them pretty, like one year we shut them out. The other year was the Henry Heave. And anyways, what I was going to say, getting back to Briles, is you said, offensive genius, talking about his philosophy. Just look at what his system is doing currently in the SEC. 3 of the top offenses have that Briles, veer and shoot, whatever you want to call it, philosophy as its staple. Ole Miss being one of them, okay? It's basically the Briles system with Lane Kiffin's spin on it. Then you go to Tennessee. They run a variation of it, and they've got one of the best offenses in the country right now. Then you come to Arkansas, and Arkansas has its own spin on it with Sam Pittman in the run game and wanting to be, more physical attack. And so I'm with you. I don't think that Briles, it's like, yes, we can tear them apart for the trick plays and the gadget plays, but I do think in theory, getting Hornsby on the field and sort of utilizing him in some ways the defense may not see coming, like that is it seems like that would be an effective approach to kind of throw out there for a series. But at the end of the day, if just one of those plays works, he looks like a genius. Unfortunately, all three of them it was definitely a specific package for that series, and none of the plays worked. It seemed like it killed a lot of our momentum, but I think we're making a lot more out of that series than really what needs to be, because yes, I know A&M came down and scored, but then we went right back down. And if we go up 21-7, we're still in full control of the game. Whereas that didn't happen. We're up 14-13, but going into half, honestly, for me, it's like we couldn't get to halftime fast enough. I was worried something else was going to happen. So then we get into halftime, come out, still look like we haven't fully recovered. And A&M, man, God, that quarterback was just throwing up prayers all night. It kind of reminds me in basketball when you're playing against a team that's not very good, like not a very good shooting team. So your entire game plan is to take away the paint and force them to shoot from the outside. And for whatever reason that night, they just are hitting everything. They're banking threes. They're doing this, doing that. That's kind of what it reminded me of watching their pass game. Now, we still got pressure on them. We even got sacks at very opportune times. But man, there were some moments in that game where he just threw up a prayer and they were able to either convert a third down, score a touchdown, whatever it might be. And, at some point, what do you do?
I just think he's the most unlucky guy on the planet.
Talking about Briles?
That's what it comes down. Briles, yeah. And I want to make one point about Hornsby before we go on from that, because do you not remember back Pittman saying when he returned that Hornsby is an athlete, we're going to find ways to put him on the field?
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody starts pointing fingers when a few of those don't go correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like they're still working out the bugs with all that. But once they do, man, if they get the Hornsby connection thing clicking, watch out. Because it takes a little bit of the pressure off KJ in the sense of, right now, I just feel like he's a big old target out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I pray he survives the Alabama game.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm Alabama, I'm looking at Arkansas, I'm like, what else have they really got?
Well, I have some concerns about that game, and I think we're going to get to that. Let's wrap up A&M. Let's do some hog up, hog down. I've got a couple positives, bright spots from the game. I'm sure you have a few or a couple as well. And then, even if it's just one, what was the one positive? Let's go positive and negative. What would you say was your biggest positive from that A&M game?
I'm going to start off a little broader. This positive is not just a positive from the A&M game. Trey, if you sit down and you really start to peel back the stats of the Razorbacks right now, we have a quarterback that has 941 yards passing. We have a running back that has 508 yards. KJ, man, he's still 67 for 97 in passing. I think that's excellent. And averaging 9.7 yards. So my hog up is, if you look at the stats, same thing with defense. I know everybody, you probably, and then you're like me, I'm like, man, where the heck has Bumper Pool been this season? Right? You heard that? I've heard that all the time.
He's been playing. He's had some moments though where he's come up big either on a pass rush or stopping the run. But obviously, Drew Sanders is the guy that's getting all the press because that dude is a madman.
Yeah, but you know who the leading tackler is right now? Bumper Pool.
Oh, yeah.
Bumper Pool has 36 tackles.
Yeah.
Drew Sanders, who everybody's talking about, only has 31.
He's just getting sacks like crazy.
He is, man. He is an animal. And nothing against Drew Sanders. He's probably my favorite player right now for the Razorbacks. So my hog up, man, is just, if you look at the stats, you have to feel optimistic that we at least have a fighting chance. So hog up one.
I'm gonna go with Keytron Jackson, receiver. I've been high on this kid. He was the one, he had the first touchdown of the game, caught that little quick screen and I think ran 34 yards to the house. I feel like this guy could be our hands down number one wide receiver. In fact, I've been saying that since Treylon Burks announced that he was opting out of the bowl game to go prepare for the NFL draft. I made a video saying, like, I think this could be huge for Keytron because it would get him, it's going to get him more reps in those bowl practices. And I just feel like if you look at his frame and his body and his speed, I mean, he's someone I really hope we continue to get more and more involved in the offense so that he can continue to get confidence. And then by, mid to end season, he's that number one target. Because I really believe he's not just a guy that can go up and make a play on the ball, using his big bodied frame, but he's a guy that once he gets the ball, he can do something with it. That's something I think we've kind of struggled with out of our receiving corps so far this year is once they get the catch, there's not a lot of yards after catch, unless it's just like a deep ball where KJ had hit them in stride and they're already headed into the end zone, like that 1-2, was it Landers that caught the deep ball for that second touchdown? I'd have to look. I can't recall right off the top, but I do think Keytron could be the guy who is that number one wide receiver. I'm hoping I'm pulling up the stats right now as I'm talking.
He's averaging 34 yards a catch.
Who?
Now he's got three catches, Keytron.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, so you talking about.
And it was Warren Thompson who caught that deep ball, not Landers. But no, I'm just saying I want to get him more involved in the offense. I want him to get more touches because I think that, once the ball is in his hands, he can do something with it and he can be, like I said, that hands down number one wide receiving threat. I'm not saying he's going to be or is Treylon Burks, but I think he could really fill a lot of that void. I love Hazelwood. He's been doing well. Love what Knox has been doing so far this year. I just think that out of the guys in that receiver room, the one who has the potential to be the most dynamic with the ball in their hands is Keytron Jackson. And I'm hoping that touchdown he got against A&M kind of broke the ice a little bit, and maybe we'll start to see more and more of his involvement as the season progresses, because that's this offense, right? You want to establish your run game, a lot of ISO out of the spread, just power run, pound you, but it's all about setting something else up. And if we can have those threats on the edge, whether it's for a deep ball, whether it's for, quick screen or RPO, quick slant, and they can, take a 3 to 5 yard pass and take it 80 yards like old Treylon used to do. I mean, if we could just get a little bit of that going, could really open up our offense. And then, of course, I liked what I saw out of Dom Johnson. First action back from his injury. I think he was averaging over 5 yards, maybe 6 yards a carry. Let me sit here and look at the box score. 6.5 yards a carry. I think that we'll continue to see him get more touches. I mean, our whole running back stable, really. That's what I'm saying. I mean, our run game, it was on point against the Aggies, as it's been all season. I think the biggest struggle for the coaching staff is they're going to have to figure out the rotation. I mean, because you've got three guys plus AJ Green. But I mean, this freshman, Dubinion, I mean, that dude runs hard. In fact, he had a big run to set up that touchdown to cut the lead to 2. And I think with him and Rocket and Dom, and then you throw in AJ Green, who we've seen what he can do in spurts. He's definitely a home run threat. I don't know if maybe we try him out at some slot receiver just to get him on the field. I don't know. I'm just saying I really feel good about our running game. I thought our running game was excellent against A&M. I'll save that. I was going to say something, but I'm going to save that for the I guess the hog downs, or I don't know if that's a good name for it. We'll come up with something, but are you done with the positives? Yes.
Okay. Well, let's move to the hog down, because what I want to know is where are we going? Who are we going to take potentially off the offensive side of the ball to put in our secondary? Because I don't know what we're going to do, Trey. Like we are. I don't know. It just feels like ever since Catalan went down, that whole unit's just been down. Like they just look down.
Well, and now Ladarius Bishop being out for the season. Pittman announced on Monday. So, I don't know. I mean,
I hate to cut a kid down. I never want to specifically disrespect a kid because they're out there trying, man. They're giving it everything they got. But at some point, you got to figure out something different, because I honestly don't know what we're going to do, because the weak spot is glaring.
mm-hmm.
Like, any team looks at us on film and now they've got a great A&M game to look at. I mean, man, if I'm a receiver, I'm licking my chops.
Yeah, and it's been there all season. I mean, Cincinnati had a couple opportunities that they couldn't capitalize on. Really, Missouri State did capitalize on it. We just were able to finally overcome that game from a talent standpoint. South Carolina, I mean, we controlled that game for the most part, but I think they had some opportunities. Their quarterback's kind of a head case. And then, of course, A&M, yeah, I would agree. I think you offset that with the one thing we do really well on the defensive side of the ball, which is getting pressure, right? So it's like, we
get pressure, but it's a lot of times because of the assistance of Sanders. I don't feel like a lot of our pressure's coming necessarily from our defensive linemen. I'd actually like to see them play a little better. And
absolutely.
They're going to have to next week or this week if we've got a chance.
Yeah. Well,
but
yeah, we'll get to that one. I'm with you. I mean, our secondary, I'm concerned. I have been all year. In fact, I've been saying it all year. Like, our secondary is very suspect. We've been finding ways to sort of mask it with some of our blitzing and able to get pressure, whether it be from Drew Sanders, even Bumper Pool. But yeah, I mean, we definitely have got to figure something out on the back end to, because if you even think about Bama last year, we got after Bryce Young, but we were doing it at times with a 3-man rush with those guys, if you remember. But I think for me, I'm going to ask you this, because this was something I'm having trouble letting go. And it's our last drive. It's not the missed field goal. Okay. I know that appears to be, that's, what lost us the game. I feel like we could have scored a touchdown there. I think we went conservative and played for a field goal. And before he even missed it, I had an uneasy feeling because I wasn't so sure we would be able to keep A&M out of field goal range with the amount of time that would have been remaining. I felt extremely confident we would have kept them out of the end zone. I felt extremely confident that we could have gotten in the end zone. It just didn't seem like once we got in field goal range, it didn't seem like we were playing to score a touchdown anymore. We were playing to get a field goal and go up by 1. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, is it just me? Did we play a little conservative there? Was it the right call? Was that what we were supposed to do? We just didn't execute the field goal. And then I got a little tidbit for you on the field goal that I think is already floating around. But what are your thoughts on that? Because that's a hog down for me.
That's a hog down?
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. Earlier in the day, Saturday, Missouri did the same exact thing against Auburn, where they were even inside, I think, the 5. They could have scored a touchdown, but they played for a field goal, ran the clock down, and they missed it. And then they ended up losing in overtime. And I just feel like when teams do that. Now, look, if you're trying to get in the end zone and you just flat out don't get in and then you miss the field goal, it is what it is. But if you get to a point and you have enough time and you've got a fresh set of downs and you don't try to go score, I just feel like that backfires on teams more than it doesn't. And I feel like that's what happened to us.
I don't know. I mean, if he makes that field goal, I just feel like the conversation is, man, we were just in a dogfight. We won the game and got out of Dallas as quick as we could. Because he didn't, it's obviously a much different conversation. And it's almost like you want to control. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think we should always, every offensive play should be to score a touchdown until it's 4th down. End of story.
I mean, and what I mean is even if, so it was, we got to 3rd and 14 because we had the fumble. And I'm wondering if maybe that fumble, the snap, whatever happened there, I don't know if that just spooked everyone's like, well, okay. Let's just get in a good spot and let's kick the field goal and try to get out of here. The problem was for me is there still would have been about 90 seconds left in the game. So a lot of time. So yeah, it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of time to get in field goal range for a team. But then also I just thought, man, I think we could have converted if we would have, I don't know, but that's that's kind of the, you have one preference, this person has another. It's easy for me sitting on my sofa watching the game to say that versus being on the sidelines with the headset on, having all that, the true burden and weight of that decision on me. But then I guess the other flip side is we try to make a play on 3rd and 15. KJ throws an interception, and then we don't even have a chance to kick a field goal. And then the narrative is, well, why didn't we just line up for the field goal or whatever? So,
yeah,
I don't know. I just think I tend to be on the side of, hey, let's just do something here. Let's try to go, I don't know. Let's try to get this first down. Let's try to get in the end zone. And I know that fumbled snap, again, that's not a coaching, that's execution. Players have got to execute. The dive from the 5-yard line, that's not a play calling issue. That's a player not executing properly. And, like I said, we just beat ourselves, man. That's why it's so frustrating to lose that game. I mean, because we should have won.
Are you okay with it though if Bryles learns from that? And I mean, because I can guarantee you they ain't gonna be letting up or playing for the field goal the rest of the year.
Yeah,
I feel like they're trusting Cam's probably a little
shaken,
and I hope he's not shaken, man. I mean, he really and truly the guy's kind of been Mr. Automatic. He's missed 2 this year.
Yeah, and then he kicked the game winner last year.
Yeah.
One of those games, I can't remember which one it was, but
how much of this is Jerry Jones's fault? I mean,
talking about the field goal,
do the goalposts need to be that big? I mean, if we would have been let's trade seriously. Let's look at this. If we would have been playing in A&M,
yep,
and look this up because I want to know. Because somebody put an answer in the comments because I am dying to know.
Yeah,
what is the goalpost height at A&M Stadium versus where the Cowboys play?
I got it right here, actually. So
you do? Okay.
So the NCAA goalposts are 23.4 apart. So I guess 23 feet 4 inches apart. The NFL's are 18 feet and 4 inches apart. So that's a solid, almost 5 feet. Now, I don't know. Someone might have to fact check this, but I mean, if that's a college goalpost, that kicks in there.
No, I'm not talking about the width of it. I'm talking about the physical height of because it hit the very top.
But
because it would have cleared the top.
But if it goes over the top, that's a miss.
But if it was between the uprights.
So you'd want it to be, we need it to be a little wider, but it should have been. So to your point, if that game's in College Station, or if it's where it was, but the goalposts are adjusted to fit the NCAA criteria, that it's good. I don't know, man. I guess
can tell we're Arkansas fans because we are debating the width of the goalposts as to why we might have lost.
I mean,
that's what makes us true fans.
You know what? That's transit. That's why we drink. That's my why we drink this week. My why we drink this week is the goalpost not being regulation size at Jerry World. We're in this stupid contract where we got to give up a home game. Next year we won't have an SEC game till freaking Thanksgiving. I know it's not that long, but have you seen our schedule? I don't want to tangent into it, but did you see our schedule for next year? God.
It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. But Jerry, let's get Jerry on the hook. If we're going to play in Dallas, you're going to put in college goalposts when we play.
Yes.
End of story. We can't come and play in Dallas and it be a disadvantage. We had 3,000 more fans than they had there during the game. That should be a home game. That should be advantage, not messed up field goal proportions that we can't deal with. Because, man, here I'll get to my why we drink.
Yeah,
Trey.
tell me.
Unless you want to finish.
No, go for it. And then we'll get to Bama.
So my why we drink. I drink largely in part during season because of other Arkansas fans.
Ooh.
And let me tell you why. You would have thought that we hadn't won a game all season. You would think that we were terrible if you flipped on radio or anywhere that there's call-ins and fans are calling to talk. You would think that we were horrible. So what I want to do is I want to utilize this why we drink, and I want to take fans back to a time that we all drank. Back to an era, and back to what I would call rock bottom of the Arkansas Razorback football program. And because of that, Trey, I'll be honest, I keep this on my mantle to remind me that no matter what, we are never going to be worse than the Chad Morris era. That's Chad's signature right there. I keep this, Trey, on my mantle to remind me to be a humble fan and to be thankful because we really don't got it that bad.
So you must be. I shouldn't joke about this. But I was gonna, this joke is in poor taste. I was gonna say you must be drinking and driving in the left lane with the hammer down. So I'm just kidding. We don't. We don't
drink and drive.
Do not drink and drive.
Yes.
That's not something to joke about.
In the Chad Morris era, I think there were lots of people that would have utilized that scenario. But I mean, here's the deal. We're getting ready to, and that's why I'm drinking. Arkansas fans, we got to calm down because never more in the history of Arkansas Razorback football have these boys needed your support than Saturday.
Because it's a big one.
It's a big one. For the first time since I'm not even going to do a history lesson. For the first time in a long time, Alabama's coming to town, and I legitimately believe that we have an opportunity to beat them.
Do you?
I do. I really do, because there's something special about Fayetteville. It gives you some kind of advantage when you play at home. I think we've got a lot, not all, a lot of the key components. You go from probably brushing up your focus a little bit when you almost mess around and lose to Missouri State. When you actually have that L on the schedule, now it becomes much more personal. If you don't think that they were laser focused coming into A&M, just wait till next week. So I believe with the prayers of all of the great Arkansas fans out there, Arkansas has a legitimate chance against Alabama.
Well, I mean, you remember we had Ryan Mallett on, and he said that 2010, and this might be the first time since 2010 where it's been this type of electric atmosphere for an Arkansas-Bama game. And I remember he said, like, that was the loudest crowd, if I recall right, I think he said he's ever been in. Like, I mean, he just said it was a frenzy. And then when he hit Wingo on that wheel route and just the place just went nuts. And he said it wasn't just that play. He said it was the electricity that was just in the stadium that just continued to ripple throughout the game. And I remember him talking about that. He says everyone gets caught up on that play. And he said, man, it was the whole game, just the electricity that was there. So I'm with you, Toby. I would love for that atmosphere to be created again this weekend as we play Bama. Personally, I am a little worried and concerned about this game because I feel like where we are deficient, Alabama's really stinking good. But I also think that I'm concerned we're not going to be able to get our bread and butter rolling on the offensive side of the ball. And that's where this game will get really tricky because last year, if you remember, Traylon Burks, he bailed us out of a lot of situations, including catching a little hitch and then outrunning the entire secondary. I also believe Bama privilege is a real thing. And so when you're playing Alabama, you're not just playing Alabama, but you're playing the officials too. I do think that the SEC would love nothing more than to have a Jimbo Saban rematch, which is the following week, I believe. Even though A&M's not undefeated, they are undefeated in conference play, so it's still a big game. So I think those are some things that will be working against us, not to make excuses, but just some things that will be working against us. But aside from all of that, I mean, Bama throws and catches really well, and we don't defend the pass very well. We're going to have to get pressure on Young, because I do believe that's a thing that if you can get pressure and you can keep him in the pocket, kind of like we did last year. But unfortunately, if we're having to send 5 and we're having to blitz guys, I'm afraid he'll be able to make us pay for that. Now, on the other side of the ball, if we can't establish the run, I just don't know what we're going to do. I really don't. Because
if we come out and we can't run the ball, man, I'm gonna shut it off probably and go.
And that's my fear because I don't know that we've got the receivers that can really. I mean, if we need that run game to get our pass game going. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say we can't. I'm just trying to be realistic here. But here's what I think all Hog fans need to remember, because I think this game now is being sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the narrative surrounding this game is a must win. And I think that's happening because of this loss to A&M. And I feel like Hog fans just need to remember, look, a loss to Bama this weekend is not the end of our season. Not even close. And so if we lose to Bama, even if it's by a couple of possessions, we're okay. Because as I said, the next 7 or 8 games we have left to play, we can win. I'm not saying we will, but we can. And the reason why we can is because there is not a team left on the schedule that we can't outscore. I'm not saying we won't, or I'm not saying we will outscore them all, but what I'm saying is I don't see a game on the schedule that we're not going to be able to get our run game going. I don't see another game on the schedule where we're not going to be able to do what we do offensively and really, put some points on the board and hopefully, help our defense by having good drives, good possessions. And that's just kind of where I'm at. Now, obviously we got to go out and do it. But if you look at the rest of our schedule and how those teams are playing and what they have and what they're doing, I mean, they're all winnable for the sake that even if we struggle defensively, particularly on the back end, these are all teams that we can get into a shootout with and win if that's what we need to do. And so like I said, I'm all in. And trust me, by the time Saturday gets here, I will be Kool-Aided up like we are about to beat Bama for the first time since 2006. I'll have my number 5 jersey on. I'll have my throwback Razorback hat on. I'm all in. I just want to make sure everyone remembers, excuse me, if we lose this weekend, our season is not over. That's all I got.
I'm the optimist. I'm going to say, what if Arkansas beats Bama, Bama beats A&M, Arkansas wins out? Now tell me that's not the expectation of Hog Nation.
That'd be crazy.
That's what people want. That's the thing is you got to smile a little bit because we've come to the point, already in this program that Arkansas is capable of that.
Oh yeah. A&M would have to lose one more, which I think they would. But yeah, if they lose to Bama and then lose another conference
does it come
game,
to points after that?
Well, I think it's head to head. So if we had a 3-way tie, I think A&M would get it, I think. I don't know what a three-way tie. I know if it's if it was we were, 7-1 and Bama was 7-1 and we beat Bama, we're in, I believe. That's how it goes. We may need to look that up. You know what? Let's
I'm a dreamer. But hey, if it does happen, you heard it here first. All right. I should have went to Las Vegas and done it right, but
oh no, man.
I think here's the deal. I think our defense is getting ready to have the game of the season. And here's why. I think that defense, at least from the linebackers up, I think they really like Drew Sanders.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Drew left Alabama. You got to think that that's one he's had circled on his calendar for a long time.
Yeah, and I was thinking, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm just saying, I think that's.
I was going to say, one of the thoughts I had earlier today was there might be some intel that we're going to get that we wouldn't have gotten without Drew Sanders, as far as about that offense, what they do, what they like to do. I mean, it's the same coordinator as last year, same quarterback as last year. Now, at the end of the day, it's the Jimmies and Joes, right? You got to go out and execute. But I would anticipate our defense will be as prepared as they could possibly be for this game. It'll just be, can we stop them? And then, can our offense help our defense by establishing and sustaining drives and putting points on the board? Nothing to it but to do it.
I feel better than I have, man. That offensive line we got and just our ability to control the ball, I'm really, really been happy with that this year. I mean, that's one of the big things that the Pittman era has brought is finally we've got linemen that just can take control.
Man, yeah.
I mean, and it's like you said, I mean, yeah, we may not have the most immaculate passing game, but your passing game is not going to be immaculate unless you establish a run. So I think we've got the ability to do that. Alabama is, it's the best of the best. And every whether you play Pee Wee football, high school football out there, no matter what level of football that you play, every league or conference has that one team, has that Alabama. Mm-hmm. That one that always wins, always has, the dynasty, if you will.
Right.
And then you've got your hard knocksers. You got your blue collar, your Razorbacks, man. Your guys that, we're in the process of establishing a dynasty, but we ain't there yet.
Yeah.
And I believe that this would be a huge notch in Pittman's belt to be able to go at home with Bama in town and pull up the W. And I think he'll have his team ready. I think him and Browse will have some counseling sessions this week. And, I think they'll have all the kinks worked out. And I think that we will give Bama everything we got.
Mm.
And like you said, we've got to remember that if it doesn't happen, if we aren't able to pull up the W, that the rest of the season does look bright. And, what does a 2-loss season look like for a bowl game? Well, I'm thinking that's a pretty decent bowl.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a New Year's Six.
It's not the toilet bowl.
No, I mean, that's a New Year's Six bowl. I mean, that's, that's as good of a season as we've had this, including the glory years of the Petrino era. So
yeah,
that would definitely be a New Year's Six if we could pull that off. So anyways,
which would beat expectations because most people, like you said earlier, is most people had the expectation that we would probably lose 2.
Mm-hmm.
Those being the 2 that probably most folks circled. So then the program meets expectations, and then next year you go to the transfer portal and you pretty much redo the whole secondary.
Reload, yeah.
or have some guys step up. I mean, I love that too, but.
Well, I mean, I think Jalen Braxton, a 4-star recruit who we've also had on this show, I think he could start right now. for the Hawks.
Man, I'm almost like, let's sign him up. Like, let's get him some high school papers. Like, let's get him on the field.
And you want to know what I'm going to throw this tidbit out there for those that have listened to our show and you heard the interview that we were able to do with Jalen and his father earlier this summer. Jalen's brother, Braylon Braxton, he was the backup quarterback at Tulsa, came in when their starter went down and almost beat Ole Miss this past weekend. So there's a little fun tidbit. So the Braxton family, man, the Hawk fans are gonna fully embrace them. But
yeah, they're gonna love that. Hey, anyways. So for real though, they should go back and watch the Jalen video, because if you are disappointed in our secondary and you do think that the future is not bright, go and watch what this young man has to say.
Oh yeah,
and watch the video that Trey put out.
Or listen, if you're on Spotify, go listen to the interview.
Listen. Yeah, listen to it. I mean, because it's amazing. I mean, this kid's football IQ is off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
The video you showed of him working out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fact that he said he's practicing on average, what, like 5-7 hours a day?
Mm-hmm. And he's working
in the off season,
working 101s with current NFL receivers and training with current NFL defensive backs, and I mean, and
so help's on the way. We just got to figure out a way to get there. But anyways, that's good to check that out definitely, because it's a really interesting. That's a good kid, man. He's going to do big things at the U of A on the Hill.
Well, hopefully Dwight McLaughlin he can hold it down in the meantime. But that's all I got, Toby. Anything? If you're listening right now, if you're on Spotify or Apple, just please give us a rating. It helps boost our whatever into the stupid algorithm. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. Tell us your thoughts. What are you thinking about this Bama game coming up, and what is your outlook for the season after the loss we're coming off of? And
yeah, in the comments too, man. I think let us know your questions or your thoughts on future, and I mean we'll address your questions right here next time we do this. But man, I really hope that we don't have to next week, because we aren't going to need any therapy after beating Bama, Trey. We ain't going to need no therapy, baby. We're going to beat them. Go Hogs.
Go Hogs. Peace.